What's up, everybody? Welcome to The Revival. My name is JJ, and it's time for part 2 of my 20 games that I played in 2022. Alright, so let's just hop into it. Following from last week, I did the first 10 games, so this week will be the second 10 games. Again, no specific order. These are just the games I have them written down in, and that's it. So, yeah. First up is Shining Force 2. Loved it. Freaking loved it. If you follow me on Twitter, you saw me gush about it a little bit. I'm so sad that I missed out on all these Sega RPGs when I was growing up, and I had a Genesis. Because I loved Shining Force 1, it is, after playing that, I 100% would say that is probably the game I would recommend most to anybody looking to dive into tactical RPGs but has never played one. It is such a, good entry-level tactical RPG, but, gorgeous to look at and super fun to play. I highly recommend it, even if you're an expert on them. It's just so pretty, and if you appreciate those older games and you want to see some history on where the genre got its roots, Shining Force is a great way to go, and Shining Force 2 is no different. I enjoyed the hell out of it. Cannot recommend it enough. So definitely give Shining Force 2 a shot if you have not played it. Next up is another game that was recommended to me by my friend Lamont, and that is Wolfenstein: The New Order. This game kind of blew me away. It was really good. Very violent, very dark, understandably, given the subject matter and everything like that. But it was super action-packed, a lot of fun to play, and I believe, if I remember correctly, because it's been a while since I played this one, I remember really enjoying it, loving the story. The only issue that I had with it was the gunplay. It wasn't like shooting and everything. It wasn't super satisfying. I didn't feel the weight of the guns as I was playing, if that makes sense. You'll know it if you play a game that has that, and this one just didn't have it for me. I really enjoyed it overall, and I had a lot of fun with it, but that was my only gripe. And like I said, I love the story and I love playing through it, so I will definitely check out the other games in this series at some point. Next up is another game that I played really early on this year. I remember that specifically, and that is Halo Wars on the Xbox 360. It is the RTS Halo game that came out years ago, and I liked it a lot more than I was expecting to. I always thought it was a neat concept, just because the Halo universe is so neat. I really didn't know what to expect, and it's not as in depth as a StarCraft or Warcraft or something like that, but it is. For what it was actually, really fun to play. And it was just super cool to, just go through the campaign. And surprisingly, a lot of those games I typically prefer to play on PC because it's so much easier with a mouse and keyboard to, do shortcuts and select units and all that stuff. It worked surprisingly well with the controller, so I was really impressed by that as well. So, if you get the chance to check out Halo Wars, it's a fun play. It's definitely worth checking out, especially if you're a Halo fan. Next one is a game that not a lot of people are going to appreciate me saying what I have to say, especially if you're a Super Nintendo RPG fan. Terranigma, if you've played that. Man, I had heard so much about this game and how epic it was and how amazing it was and how great it was, and that I just had to play it, especially if I've played the other two games in the Quintet trilogy. And I played it, and I was really bored. I'm sorry. I was not thrilled about it. I love the concept. Don't get me wrong. I love the concept of going through and unlocking the stages of planet development essentially, and life development and that kind of thing. It was a really cool concept, but the execution it took so long to get anywhere. Combat was a little too slow for my taste. I had some issues with like the hit detection that I wasn't thrilled about. I just was not my cup of tea, and I really wanted to love it. I really did, because I really liked like Soul Blazer. I thought was amazing. I had a blast with that game. It was so good, and it just was not what I was expecting. I didn't hate it. It's one of those games I would tell you to go judge for yourself, especially if you're a fan of like Super Nintendo RPGs and stuff like that. Super Nintendo action RPGs, I should say, like Secret of Mana, that kind of stuff. I just couldn't do it. I finished it, but it took me way longer than it probably should have, because I like could only play it for short bursts, and then I would just get bored and want to move on to something else. So yeah, sorry, Terra Enigma is not one of the best games that I played in 2022. Continuing on that trend of games that took way too long to beat, Arc the Lad 2. Part of this was, I don't think this is my fault. I think it's just kind of poor game design. I got to a point at the very end where I was crushing battles, and I was doing great, and it was awesome. I didn't do all the side stuff, but I did what I thought was enough. And so I went into the final dungeon. Thankfully, I made a second save right before going in, because I saw that there was no turning back. Always do that in these longer games. So I went in, and I spent about 15 hours trying to get through that final dungeon. Not 15 hours. I spent probably like a good, maybe like 4 or 5 hours getting through the final dungeon, and then getting to the final boss that had a difficulty spike that was insane. And basically, like, I was reading online, and you basically have to have like either like insanely high levels or like just a very specific character setup. And the character setup that it wanted, like, I didn't have any of those characters leveled up, anything like that. I was just floored at, like, there was literally no way for me to get past this part. So I was screwed. So I had to go back. So I lost, 4 or 5 hours of game time. Go back. Then I had to grind that's where the 15 hours or so comes into play. I grinded for about a good 15 hours or so. To get more experience and level up the characters that the internet recommended to me to use. When I went back in, I steamrolled it. I absolutely decimated it. It just wasn't very well balanced. There was no in between. It was either you get just stomped and you're screwed if you lock yourself into one save point and you can't go back, or because once a battle is done in the final area in that game, you can't redo it. So all the battles are, like, once you get done with it, there's no way for you to get more levels and level up while you're in there. So you have to do it before you go in. So that was the only gripe I had with it, though. It was also very long. I think all in all, with that 15 hours and everything, it took me about 80 to 85 hours to complete. That was over the course of about 2 months. So I spent 2 months out of this year on one game. I played bits and pieces of other stuff in between, but nothing like on the list. So it was really frustrating to get through. There's still a third game in the trilogy, and then a couple more games after that. So I will do that eventually. We'll see when. But man, it left a sour taste in my mouth, that final part. Up to that, it was okay. It was fine. It's just really, really frustrating when that kind of thing happens. So it is what it is, though. I finished it, thankfully. Next up is a game, funny enough, and I talked about it as a pixel perspective, Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core. I finished that, and about 2 weeks after I finished it, they announced the remake for modern consoles, which is fine, because I probably would have wanted to play the original anyway, but I just thought that was kind of ironic. It is going to make me, not play the remake soon. I'm going to hold off for a while because I finished this one already, and I like the story. I like Zack as a character. I am not a fan of Nomura's character designs and just over-the-top weirdness of... Anyway. The combat in that game, I didn't like. Anything that where you leave it up to chance, like slot wheels and that kind of stuff, I just, not a fan. And that's what that whole game was. I just was not crazy about that. Even leveling up, there was like a chance of it happening. Like nothing was like, it was very little you could plan for as you were playing through. You just had to get lucky a lot. And I was not a fan of that mechanic. So, story, really cool. I love Final Fantasy VII, obviously. I love getting background and more lore into that universe. But the game itself, it was. I'm glad it was as short as it was. We'll just put it that way. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. So, Suikoden 5. This may have been the best game on the entire list that I played. Damn it, if you have not played the Suikoden series at all, get on that now. It's so good. It's so good. It's so good. Suikoden 5 was fantastic. This also took me about 80, 85 hours or so to complete, but I did that over the course of like 2 to 3 weeks, something like that, because I just was so into it and just wanted to just keep playing. It's so excellent. The cast is great. The story's wonderful. I just freaking love all the Suikoden games. I have never been disappointed with any of them. They've all been great. Even the one that, a lot of people say is the black sheep of the series, 4, which I will grant is probably the weakest of the main entries. I still enjoyed the hell out of it. So when I finished 4 and I was like, all right, 5's next, I was super excited for it. I was like, if that's the worst, I'm really stoked to get into this one. It's a return to form like 1 and 2. It's just so good. Play the Suikoden series if you haven't already. I would love to do a video on that at some point in the future, and I most likely will, now that I've finished the series. But Suikoden 5 is excellent. Excellent. Fantastic game. Can't recommend it enough. Resident Evil 3. Loved it. Loved it. I played the PS4 version, and every new game in the Resident Evil series that I play, new game, new to me, as I move forward in it, I enjoy it more and more. It's great. I love the puzzle-solving aspect. I really like this one a lot more because it didn't have Mr. X chasing you at random points that just, made me frustrated and, not because I was scared or that it was, too hard. It was just, I've said this before, it came down to me wanting to explore and appreciate the level design and the game itself. But I'm too busy being like, dude, get away from me. Stop. Just leave me alone, man. It's just kind of it was an annoyance more than anything else. This game let me explore and do that a lot more. So I was really happy with that, and I enjoyed the hell out of it. And the fights were epic. Love the story. Cannot wait to move on with the Resident Evil series. And then we got Final Fantasy Legend 3. I'm so glad to finally wrap up this trilogy. I liked it. It's pretty bare bones story-wise, but it probably has the most story out of the Final Fantasy Legend series. I really, really just had a lot of fun with it. Didn't experiment too much with party combinations in this one. I didn't. In the other ones, you choose your characters from the beginning, and I tried to go as diverse as possible. In this one, they start out as humans and mutants, if I remember correctly, and you can change them into monsters and robots. And I was just like, I don't really want to, because I like just having a party that levels up like normal. I don't like the weird randomness of the monsters or your character strength depending on your equipment 100% with the robots. I like, going out there grinding a little bit, making my character stronger that way. And so that was a lot of fun. It was probably my favorite of the 3. That's another series that, for me, a lot of people like 2 the best. I thought the series improved upon it itself from 1 to 3. So definitely had a lot of fun with it. They have the whole collection on Switch. You can get it. It's worth it, in my opinion, if you like those older RPGs. So good stuff. A lot of fun. And finally, the MMO that I threw on the list that I had a couple people play with me in the beginning. In the beginning, I had a handful of people that would pop in and out, and it was a lot of fun when I finished it. Guild Wars 2, by the way, I don't think I mentioned that yet, but Guild Wars 2. My buddy Brian, who those of you who know me for a long time from my old podcast, The Frozen North, he stuck with me the longest. Him and I played through the whole base game and the game has expansions, but there are also like mini expansions in between each expansion. So we played through the first mini expansion, then the first expansion, and I think we did the second mini expansion as well. I'm not 100% sure, but either way, I just wanted to play through the base game. So we did that, and we were like, yeah, we can play a little bit longer, sure, what the heck. So it was a lot of fun to do that with him and have him tag team it with me. The story was great. It was a lot of fun. The gameplay just got a little rough, so we had to kind of take a break from it. I think eventually I'd like to go back and maybe bit by bit, and it's free to play, so it's not a big deal, finish the rest of those expansions at some point, but it won't be for a while still. But either way, I had a lot of fun with it, and I'm glad I had somebody to play it with. Next year's list will have another one of those type of games that are free to play, and you can play with. It'll be an MMO, so I will, when I do my video where I announce my list for 2023, I'll talk about that one. And I'm going to do the same thing where I'm just on and in Discord Friday nights, so you can come hang out with me and bullshit with me in there and whatnot. A lot of fun. So, yeah, like I said in the last video, that's my list of 20, by the way. Thanks for watching. Like I said in the last video, if you want to suggest a game, just get it to me by the end of the year. And I just hop into Discord and just shoot me a private message. All the links are in the video down below. But just hop in there and shoot me a private message in Discord and tell me what you want me to play. And chances are I'll probably throw it on the list. Again, it just has to be beatable and something I haven't beat before. And yeah, so yeah, talk to me. Let me know what you want me to play because I would love to do that. Yeah, so thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Look forward to the new list coming pretty soon in the next few weeks. I've got it almost, I've got a handful of slots left. I'm waiting to see what happens with other people suggesting stuff to me, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. So let me know what you think and what you want me to play. Thanks for watching, and as always, keep on gaming.